What's going on, you guys? Charles here from the Traders Corner, and today we're going to be talking about what is a broker and why does it matter. Now, we can talk about brokers in a lot of different senses. We can talk about brokers very specifically in terms of finance, and even more specifically than that, certain areas of finance, like a futures broker, a forex broker, an options broker, things of that nature. But basically what I want to talk about today is just what is a broker in terms of finance, because you can have brokers and other things, right? You could be a boat broker, right? Or you could be an airplane broker. But we'll talk about what is a broker in terms of the financial markets, and why they're so important, and why you need one, and why as well you need one that is kind of on your side, right? So a broker is essentially just an intermediary, right, or somebody that goes between you and what is called the stock exchange to actually put your orders in, right? So first and foremost, what is a stock exchange? Why do you need to trade through a stock exchange? Well, that's where stocks are listed. So if we wanted to use an analogy of like used cars, for example, right? You could buy a used car right off somebody off of Facebook Marketplace. That would be like an over-the-counter transaction. Whereas if you went to a used car lot and then you bought a used car from somebody, well, somebody had to sell that car to the used car lot, right? And then that used car lot turned around and sold it to you, likely for a bit of a markup, a bit of a profit, as they're not just in the business for warm and fuzzies. And that's kind of the same way with the broker, right? Where, people want to trade stocks. Yes, technically speaking, you could say to yourself, and you can't really do this anymore, but in the past you could say to yourself, okay, I want to give my stock or my ownership in this company to this other person, and I can just do it outside of the exchange. Well, after the formalization of exchanges, that's not really possible anymore. So you need to be using an exchange to trade that stock, right? And in the past, it wasn't so hard to become a member of an exchange, right? But nowadays, it's a lot harder to become a member of an exchange, and because of that, that is why you need a broker. Your broker is a member of that exchange, right? And they are allowed to trade with that exchange. So they trade on your behalf, right? And that is why I say you need a broker that's on your side. You need a broker that's not trying to screw you every single time they're trading on your behalf, right? Now, essentially, kind of the bottom line of the brokers is understanding that while the important thing is that you have a broker that's on your side, there are a lot of other benefits and kind of bells and whistles that you can get with brokers nowadays. So like, I think a good example is TD Ameritrade. TD Ameritrade is kind of what I'll call like a full service broker, where you can trade pretty much anything that you can think of as long as you meet their account requirements to trade certain instruments. So for example, because these brokers are members of exchanges, they have to adhere to certain regulations, specifically set by entities like FINRA, right? And because they have to adhere to these regulations, their clients have to adhere to these regulations as well, right? And so because of that, for a good example is, unless you have $25,000 in your account, you can't be what is called a pattern day trader in America. Now, what does that mean? That's not super important. Essentially, just take it for it means you trade a lot of intraday within the day, right? So you could do that on something where it's like a Wanda account, where that's specifically a forex broker. They're expecting you to trade a lot throughout the day. But when it comes to something like TD Ameritrade, right? When it comes to TD Ameritrade, you need to have $25,000 in your account to trade a lot throughout the day. So that being said, you have to think about these things when it comes to thinking about a broker. As well, you have to think about, kind of like I was talking about before, sort of the bells and whistles that you get from that broker, right? So another, again, using TD Ameritrade as an example, some of the bells and whistles that you get with it is a lot of free education that comes with TD Ameritrade. You get access to stock screeners, you get access to news, so you have to think about these things when it comes to picking a broker, not just about trading, but just in the general sense when it comes to investing, right? Because you have to think about, what does that broker have access to? Can I trade options through this broker if that's something that you want to do? Maybe you want to write covered calls, right? So think about all these things when it comes to a broker, but that's kind of the basics of what a broker is and what it is that they do. They essentially just place your trade for you, and that's why it's important to think about one that's on your side when it comes to choosing a brokerage. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video, man. I hope it provides some value to you. Join us again next time.